Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is February 15th, and right now we're looking at the Doppler radars overlaid with the visible satellite imagery. Still got some light snow east of the Cascades where it is a bit chillier here. Things have warmed up across some of the Portland metro. Didn't get much snow down there last night, but we did get some nice snowfall across some of the Kitsap Peninsula down towards Shelton. Briefly accumulated on I-5 between Olympia down towards Chehalis. Did get some snow across the Seattle metro as expected, but not sticking on cement surfaces, and a bit up towards Everett as well. And we still got some precipitation ongoing here, and some of it's still mixed with snow out there, so heads up for that. If you see it, it just kind of looks nice in the air. Things have generally warmed up. If we take a look at the temperatures since midnight here, you can see we had a little bit of colder air out here, closer to the better precipitation rates and the low pressure system, and we briefly dropped down towards freezing between Olympia and Chehalis, but that was just for a brief period of time. And again, the Seattle metro generally too warm to stick on the cement areas up towards Everett, and you can see the Willamette Valley only got down some places not even below 40. A little bit chillier across the Portland metro, but that cold air trapped back in towards the gorge, and eastern Washington and Oregon a bit chillier. Could have some snow showers still ongoing and some accumulations through the day today. If we take a look at example number one here, Bremerton, you can see we did have some light snow bounce back again this morning, but now it's back to rain. So kind of switching back and forth, but they did have a pretty good run of snow as we went through last night here, briefly dropping down towards freezing and probably accumulating some snowfall there. Let me know what you got here at your individual locations, if you would, in the comments below. This is Shelton, changed back to light snow again here, and we had, it was unknown precipitation, so that means it's mixing in with the rain at times, but it did switch back here, but still 34 degrees, not expecting any more accumulation into the lower elevations this morning. Arlington, it was light rain this morning. It was looking at that band of precip moving up north. You can see it was 36 and 37 degrees. If we scroll back towards last night, it was unknown precipitation for a time, so that means that it was rain mixing with snow. If we take a look on in through Thursday evening tonight, East Spokane is calling for a little bit of snow still ongoing. We're not looking at huge amounts or anything. Of course, the higher terrain, look out past, some of the mountainous areas getting better snowfall amounts out of this, especially as you push on through Montana. And you can see that here as you go I-90 from west to east. There's Butte, you see Whitehall, Three Forks, Belgrade, Bozeman, and Bozeman Pass, still dealing with some snow out there. So heads up, can be difficult travel at times, especially across Montana. And the further you go east, you're getting a bit colder. Now, looking at 850 millibars, we got Washington, Oregon, there's British Columbia and Alaska to the far left. You can see the polar lobe that took that weak swing at us and dropped off a bit of cold air. That will be moving on as we go through the day tomorrow and this weekend here. And then you can see that cold Arctic air is nowhere near the Pacific Northwest. But we do have an interesting setup coming up on us right now, and I'll show you that here in a moment. But first of all, let's look at the high-resolution rapid refresh. You can see the precipitation, again, maybe mixing in with snow at times, but generally things are a bit too warm for accumulations. However, you can see some of this activity across eastern Oregon and eastern Washington at times. We scroll through tonight. But look at this. We've got an interesting band of snow here across northern Oregon, also all the way on in through tomorrow morning before that finally starts wrapping up as we go through the later morning hours, and by the time we get to Friday afternoon, we should be wrapping up this round of wintry precipitation. Then we've got our next storm system off the coastline, and it's a fairly deep low out over the Pacific here. And we've got some high pressure building up over the interior of Montana, so pretty good pressure gradient setting up. We're going to have a return of the gusty easterly winds as we go on in through the day tomorrow, really picking up as we go to tomorrow evening as well. I'll show you some of those speeds here in a moment. And as we play this on, this frontal system not making much headway into the Pacific Northwest as well, really decaying here, and the storm track pointing into California. But look at the wider view of things here. So let's actually back this up, and this is where we are right about now as I'm speaking. You can see that high pressure over the interior east of the Rockies, and the deep low well out over the Pacific Ocean here. You can see that's 67 millibars right there. Pretty good pressure gradient. But as we go on in through the day today, you'll notice some of this high pressure dropping down into eastern Washington, and still the deep low out over the coastline here. So we're setting up a pretty good pressure gradient. Again, I mean, we're looking at 69, almost 70 millibars here from Montana all the way out over the Pacific Ocean, and it's going to cause some strong winds across the Cascades here with the offshore flow and the easterly component. And now let's take a look at that. The North American model, 3 kilometer high resolution. This one is hot off the presses. We're still getting some of these east winds right now. They could be gusty at times, but that gradient relaxes a bit as we go through this afternoon coming up. But then watch as we go through tonight and into tomorrow morning. You see the slow, steady increase here with some powerful winds starting to emerge as we go on in through tomorrow afternoon. I mean, look at this. By the time we get to 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. tomorrow night, the gorge is going to be rocking here. Even some of the Cascades of Oregon, Washington up towards Gold Bar, Enumclaw, Black Diamond, North Bend. You guys know the drill out here. The winds are going to get strong again tomorrow afternoon and evening. And look at the east wind coming all the way through the Strait of Juan de Fuca, all the way offshore, trying to rush out to that low pressure center. You can imagine a big vacuum out here, just kind of sucking the air through all the mountain passes with the high pressure out here across Montana. Now, looking at the accumulated max 10-meter wind gust, so kind of impressive what's coming here tomorrow. Check it out as we go on in through tomorrow afternoon and evening. Look at this. They're talking about some gusts up towards 70 miles per hour locally here for some of the Stampede Gap area, and some of this even trying to move out over and near the Seattle Metro here. Things can get pretty rowdy here on Kent East Hill in some of these scenarios as well, and the gorge is really going to be ripping here too, all the way in through the Portland Metro. Look at some of these winds out of the coastal area, northwest Oregon, southwest Washington. So yeah, pretty good pressure gradient setting up here. You're going to notice it, especially for some select locations that are really susceptible to these gap and these east winds, and some gusty winds roaring down the Strait of Juan de Fuca, the opposite way of the big westerly surges we get. Now, if you want a nice, affordable home weather station, you want to watch the wind blow at your house, this one is a nice one. It's got an ultrasonic anemometer. It's got solar power, no batteries, and you can see it's got a nice smartphone app with it as well. This is what the smartphone app looks like, and you can click on these individual parameters and make graphs. And this updates every 3 seconds, builds its own forecast for you. I highly recommend this weather station. Again, click on that link down below to save 10%. Now, looking at the European, this is what was going on as we went through last night and through this morning. Again, some of that snow still across some of eastern Washington, and then we kind of target eastern Oregon as we go through tonight into tomorrow morning. So expect a few more inches for some locations out there. Idaho, Montana, as well as that finally gets out of here by the time we go towards the day Friday and afternoon. Then we got that deep low out here, this decaying front right off the coastline. And by the time we go into Friday night, again, we're going to have a very powerful gradient setting up across the Cascades, some powerful east winds. I expect at least a wind advisory, maybe even a high wind warning for some areas out there. We'll see how that trends here today and see what the National Weather Service says. This is looking at total snow in inches, national blend of models. We put this into motion for today. You can see still some light snow across eastern Washington. Then as we go on in through tonight into tomorrow, you can still see that band of snow across Oregon, so don't sleep on that. You could get a few inches, 2 to 4, out there across some of the, especially the higher terrain, it seems like. And then as we go in the extended, you can see it's not a great signal as we scroll all the way towards next weekend here. I mean, a little bit of snowfall here for some of the Cascades, and then maybe at the very end of the run, it tries to bump things up. But yeah, not much snow because most of this is falling actually as we go through tomorrow, and then we get kind of a break here as far as snowfall is concerned across the higher terrain. But we'll watch that and we'll revisit that day by day. Taking a look at the European ensemble mean, this is the yesterday afternoon, so there's our little flirt with the snowfall here. Then we really built this ridge here, and we got that big cross cascade gradient setting up here as we go through the day Friday, probably peaking here tomorrow night. And then the storm track kind of points into California here. And then we start looking at the extended a little bit. Maybe another low sets up off the coast of California. And then the model's been showing this northwest flow, this troughing here setting up. You see, it is pretty far out. We're still talking 10 plus days out. So we're just watching it for now. And we're just kind of glancing off into the crystal ball period here of the extended forecast and kind of seeing what's coming down the road. Let's see what the GFS ensemble mean has. This is as of last night's run, 06Z. There goes our little flirt with the snow. Ridge builds, strong offshore gradient Friday night, storm track down into California. See if it brings out low. It does down into California here. And then we look off into the extended. Now we're starting to look 10 days out. And you can see it's got pretty good model agreement with that trough setting up on the west coast of North America here, all the way up from Alaska down towards Pacific Northwest. And so, yeah, we'll definitely be watching that one. A pretty strong signal for this time range here. And you can kind of see the ridge setting up out here with the north and the northwest chillier flow with some active weather back into the Pacific Northwest. We'll be watching that day by day. Things can still change even with a good model agreement as what's shown between the GFS and the European. Here's the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. This goes through February 24th, kind of showing the above average here, so not yet picking up on that extended cool down, and 8 to 14 day not showing it just yet. So it'll be interesting to see how the next 2 days start to unfold here with the Climate Prediction Center. They're going to start picking up on that below normal temperature for the Pacific Northwest. We'll just continue to watch that. And they do have that risk of heavy precipitation all the way through the end of the month, and just slight risk of heavy snow. This would include BC. So, we're not seeing anything individual systems in the extended forecast at this time frame right now. But, the experimental product kind of hinting at it, and the risk of high winds would accompany some of that activity as well. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that snowfall out there yesterday. It was fun to watch it fall, but, like we expected across the Seattle Metro, it didn't amount to much except maybe sticking on some of the higher hills and some areas up north here a little bit, and maybe south, Tacoma South through Olympia. It did stick for a bit on some of the cement out there. And of course, like we expected, better totals across Kitsap Peninsula as well. And as you saw, some of that still falling as snow. I actually saw a few snowflakes out here just about an hour ago as well across, near the SeaTac area there. But yeah, just kind of a little bit of taste of snow here. That's not going to go down as any kind of official measurement at SeaTac by any means here. So we continue to have 0 in the snow bucket here so far for Seattle. But yeah, anyway, we're going to watch that gap wind. Maybe I'll even go out there and check out some of those winds, because some of those gusts were showing up over 60, 70 miles per hour coming out of the east there. And sometimes those can get out a little bit towards the Seattle Metro. They can even impact SeaTac as well, because SeaTac is right downstream of the Stampede Gap sometimes. And even when you're not feeling it at the surface, it can be right off the surface, and it can really play havoc sometime with the approaches going into the airport there. So I'm going to be watching that closely, and we'll be updating that tomorrow morning, because the biggest winds are not expected again until tomorrow afternoon and evening for some of the communities out there again. Enumclaw, Black Diamond, even Gold Bar up there, Sultan for areas further north, and Snoqualmie and, I-90 areas out there as well. So anyway, we'll be watching that one closely. We'll continue to watch that extended forecast day by day. Hope you guys are liking these videos. Click like and subscribe. We'll do this again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.